Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's House Hall Report. It's a Bear Down Wednesday. With me today, I got Billy, the fence guy. He's in the house. Billy, good to see you, brother. We
How's it
got
going,
Bear
guys?
Down Mike, Woody,
Yo,
who's
Eastern
never
time.
afraid to, he's never afraid to let you know how he feels. And of course, Mike, the Bear fan in the background, working some things, will be with us shortly. So, fellas, another loss, a big, a heartbreaking loss at that, one that we gave away. Um, the stats, actually show out pretty good overall for Cleveland, but look at Darnell Mooney drops one in the end zone. That was a game winner. I think the crucial play of the game was at 4th and 1. You got to give the Cleveland defender, some credit for snagging Justin like he did. That was a heck of a play he made after Darnell Mooney come through. Now, whether Mooney was supposed to be blocking or supposed to be in a route, there's some controversy on that. But watching the replay, it looked like to most people he was supposed to be blocking. But those were the big plays of the game. These were the stats. Overall, not bad, not great throwing. Rushing, we were kind of stymied a little. Offense wasn't doing it. The defense was doing it. I mean, that's the take. The defense put us in position. The offense at least capitalized on the turnovers, but couldn't do much else. I mean, Billy, watching this game had to be kind of like remembering you of some of those years where we had Jay Cutler with no offense but a great defense.
Yes, it was nice, man. Seeing the defense and how they've been playing lately, man. It's great seeing the defense, man. But this offense, man, it's just like I mean, they were doing something, and it's just like towards the end, it was just like they got too comfortable. Like, our defense will hold it, man. You can only rely on your defense so much.
Yeah, and Mike, I mean, there was a post game interview with DJ Moore, and he said kind of the same thing. How they felt, and actually Darnell Mooney alluded to it as well, that they were too comfortable in the third and fourth, and then DJ Moore even went a step further and kind of called out Luke Getsy in the play calling. I mean, the defense was great. It just seemed like the offense never found a game plan.
Yeah, the defense was great for 3 quarters. They allowed Joe Flacco to throw 212 yards in the fourth alone. So, the way you look at it, it wasn't the first 3 quarters. Yeah, amazing. We just can't capitalize and keep our foot on the pedal. That's their problem.
I mean, Woody, with as much as the defense was on the field, though, I mean, are you surprised at the fourth quarter that Flacco finally found some success?
Well, yeah, he was like the only quarterback this season to throw more than 200 yards in the fourth quarter. I mean, we had a defensive touchdown with Edmonds' pick six, so our offense didn't do really anything. But I mean, yeah, we can blame Mooney, but I mean, when you're sitting and the ball's in your lap, how can you not hold on to that ball? And this game reminded me of the first Detroit game. We're up in the fourth quarter, then we throw that lead right at the end, and it happened a couple times this year. But
Yep.
did I expect to win? No, I did pick Cleveland to win, but when you're that close and saying, "Hey, Cleveland's number 2 defense in the league," we have a chance, and we were ahead of them all game instead of the fourth quarter, and we fucked up. So.
Mike, it seemed to me that like Luke Getsy was completely lost with his game plan. I mean, they didn't generate any kind of offense at all. And Fields had some time. Yeah, he was getting pressured. He had a couple sacks, but he also had time if they had a scheme. It seemed like Getsy just can't scheme for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you call a wide receiver sweep on a 4th and 1, and it gets blown up when he hasn't touched the ball all game. Like, give it to Foreman had 6 carries. Give it to your third down back and let him pound it in, or take the points. We left points on the board.
6.
Well, what's interesting is Mark Sanchez, who called the game, was on the Skip Bayless, whoever it was, the next day, talking to him. He had his charts, and he talked about Scott carrying the ball. Like, look, here's a guy who never touches the ball. There's no red marks, nothing. He never touches the ball. Why would you give it to him on that play? And the only reason I could think of is, well, maybe we were trying to throw the defense or a curveball, because he never gets the ball, so why would they expect it, right, Billy? I mean,
Yeah, definitely, man.
But
they got to have a better. They got to have a better game plan, man. Getsy's he's not doing it.
It's sad that Velus Jones had more rushing yards than Foreman.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other reason he went with Scott, though, honestly, is because the week before they against the Lions, he did it with DJ Moore and had success, right? So he's like, well, now I'll just try it with Scott. They'll never expect it. Well, now they suspect it. They
did it because his family was there. He's an Ohio native.
Yeah.
Well, if he gets 11.5 yards a carry, give it to him every once in a while. I'm down for that. That's 11.5 yards.
Well, like, why aren't we using Roshan Johnson more, who's got a phenomenal yard per carry? I mean, I think it's becoming clear that Roshan's going to be the guy, him or Foreman. Those two are probably have the best numbers of the three.
Right.
But Roshan, his blocking, I've been watching his blocking. I mean, I don't know, Billy, have you been paying attention to Roshan's blocking at all? I mean, his blocking, to me, seems like it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, he's definitely playing good, man. His blocking's good. I'm a big fan of him, but like you said, we don't see him a lot. It's just like, come on.
I think we're going to see more of them for sure because between Foreman and Herbert, they carried 6 each.
Yeah, Herbert
and Johnson only did 5, but he carried it at 7.2 yards a carry.
So, Bear fan Mike, I don't want to get too much into like postseason, who do we keep, who do we not, but let's do this just for a second on these 3 running backs. Of the 3 current running backs on the Bears roster, when we come into camp next year, which 2 of these 3, or will all 3 still be on this roster next year? All right, what are you saying? All 3 will be on the
roster. Mike.
Yeah, I that's just me. I think it's all 3. Now the starting might switch around a little bit. The starter running back might switch around, but I think we're going to have all 3.
We'll go, Mike the Bear fan. I'll go with you next. What do you think?
I'm with Woody. I think we'll have all 3 for sure. Herbert just lacks a little pass defense. You know what I mean? That's what he lacks, and that's where Johnson's coming in effect, and he's probably going to take his job over. And Foreman, he's clutch. He's never hurt us when he stepped in. You know, he's done his business. So I think we'll have all 3 as well.
We'll be starting.
Billy, how about you? Now, the one thing I'll throw in, I didn't throw before, Foreman, isn't he on a 1-year deal? So we'll have to re-sign him too, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, you definitely got to re-sign him. I mean, I agree with them too. I'd stick with all 3 of them. I mean, it's, you know, they all can do something special from each person. So I mean, I think the longer they play with each other, it'll work out. I'm happy with those 3.
I mean, bear down, Mike. It's kind of rare that you have a 3-headed monster for a running back by committee. It's usually 2. I mean, now granted, Roshan's on a cheap rookie deal. I think next year we'll have to re-sign Foreman.
Yep.
Right, and then is he on his
Herbert has 2 more years, doesn't he?
Herbert's got 2 more years.
All right. So you're playing on house money if you basically it's just Foreman. Can you justify giving Foreman $10 million to keep all 3 together?
Give Foreman $10 million?
That's what he got this year, isn't he? Or no? What did he get this year?
Like $1 million.
6?
Or I thought it was like 3. Oh, anyways, yeah, $10 million.
Let me see what I can't remember what his deal was. I think it was a 1-year deal, wasn't it?
We gotta do things like Bears don't do. Depth is important in this league. Definitely keeping all 3. Re-signing Foreman, keeping all 3.
I think we could use a gadget.
It was a one-year $3 million deal, but are you going to get him for $3 million next year? I guess is the question.
I offered him 5.
He'll come up a little more.
Come up a little bit more. He's been great for us. $5 million. Take it or leave it.
Now, one guy where we had money well spent, and this has got to be, I think it's a first in the NFL, at least in a couple decades. Montez Sweat is the sack leader now on 2 franchises at the same time. He is the sack leader for Washington, and he's all of a sudden now in just a few short weeks the sack leader in Chicago. How is that for ridiculous?
That is insane, man.
I know Yannick's pissed. He's jealous.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about that real quick though. With that Sweat obviously worth $98 million. Yannick, I don't think he was playing that bad before his
No.
ankle injury, but he's done for the year. So does Yannick come back next year?
Nah, I don't.
Depends on what you're gonna give him. As a depth piece, maybe, but probably not. I just drafted a guy.
His age too. Remember what Poles does.
Yeah. Anybody was
Yeah,
over
he'd be
28,
28?
29?
28 next year, coming off a broken ankle. I think we gave him $10 million for this year, which was probably worth it for this year. But I don't know, Billy. Can you justify paying Yannick $10 million or more to bring him back?
I don't know. Like you say, like what he said, man, he's going to get, he's going to be, 29 years old, and he's coming off an injury. I don't see it.
Now, the other guy that we should probably pay is a guy number 4 on this list for 90-plus graded DBs this season, and that's Jalen Johnson, who also gave a quote today how much he wants to stay in Chicago, right? So Jalen, you look at yards allowed in the NFL, he's the best.
Yep.
For giving up the fewest in coverage. So, Jalen's probably worth the money. I don't know what he's going to get, but I think the franchise on a DB right now is close to 20.
I would offer him 5 years, $18 million.
Didn't Mike say his numbers were like 17.3 a year?
Something like that.
I think that's what he said Sunday.
No, I'm talking about Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
5 years, $18 million. That sounds like a pretty good deal.
You're not going to give him for 5 years at $18 million a year or $18 million total?
No, $18 million a year.
Okay.
His market value.
Anyone different with that? Billy's nodding.
I say, yeah, you got to keep the guy, man. The guy's a shutdown. He's doing excellent, man. I like the guy. The kid's good.
I guess.
It's not Sweat's money, but it'll get right around 4 years, 65, 68 million, 17.1 a year.
Yeah. And I think we're pretty much going to commit to that. The defensive shell we've got, or the players we've got, it's obviously coming together as we saw in Cleveland, as we saw in the 2 Detroit games. Sweat wasn't that big of an impact in the NOLA game, but the defense was still really good in the NOLA game, creating turnovers. If you look at our turnovers, we're second in the NFL now with 18 interceptions. Compared to last year, we were dead last, right? So last year we were dead last in almost every defensive category. Eberflus in this 1 year, or last year / this year, has taken us from the worst to one of the best. What you saw Sunday was the 2 top defenses in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And
we thank us, or I thank Jared Goff for us being number 1 in interceptions.
Yeah, 6 of them are him. but
he's number 1 on our team.
Yeah. See, but this is where it gets interesting, though, gentlemen. Look, we've talked about Eberflus. Does he stay or does he go? It's obvious this defense is a direct result of Matt Eberflus. It's a direct result of him, especially this year. He's the head coach and the DC, right? Then this pops up.
Woo! I take the guy on the left.
So let's talk about
Eberflus. Just keep him as a DC.
That's what I said.
He ain't gonna. You guys know he ain't gonna stay as a DC.
So here's the thing, though, and Billy, I get what you're saying, because we mused about that on Monday Morning Football one day with the 365 guys. Someone actually did the Google, looked it up. It has happened in the past where a guy's gone from a head coach to a coordinator on the same team in the same year like that. It hasn't been done since the 60s. But do you think, and we'll go around the table, I'll start with Mike the Bear fan on this.
You can save me for last. I got a lot to say.
Okay, I'll start with Woody then.
That's a fucking shocker.
If Tomlin is available and Eberflus, you go to Eberflus and say, hey, look, we want to keep you as DC. We want to, Tomlin, right? Hall of Fame coach, can you blame us? Eberflus would probably be like, I kind of can't blame you given my record. But the Bears say, well, hold on. We're not going to fire you. We want you to be the DC at the same pay you're getting right now. Do you think we do that, Woody?
I would.
And do you think Eberflus stays?
I would do it. I don't think Eberflus will.
Let him
Mike?
go. Let him
Bear
go.
down, Mike.
I'll let it go. That's just going to create conflict. We don't need that. We've had enough of that crap. Let him go.
But look what he's done to that
Woody,
defense.
I'm sorry. No, I mean, I don't know. It's
Nope. Look at the decisions he's made. We've lost the 98% chance to win, and we lose because of coaching.
0.003 to be exact.
You think Tomlin's going to let that happen? Who's never had a losing record?
Billy, what about you? Do you think we could keep Eberflus as the DC in a Tomlin situation?
I think so. I mean, even if Thomason came in, I mean, he would look and see. You got to see what this guy's been, like you said, you got to see what he's been doing with the defense for the past year. It's a big improvement. You know, if I don't see it, if he doesn't, you know, I can't see him being a head coach anywhere else. I mean, who else is going to pick up Eberflus? So, you know, he'll probably think, hey, maybe I can stay here as a defensive coordinator. I have a job, you know, and he's doing good on the defense and he knows it. So maybe there's a shot he will stay. But, you know, it's Tomlinson. If he's coming in, he might want to have his whole team in there. You know, he might want to pick the guys. Who knows?
With Bears luck, he'll get fired and go to fucking Green Bay and become their DC and kick our ass.
There's a report out there that Mike will probably allude to in a little bit that the Bears will be all in on Tomlin. Will spare no expense if Tomlin's available. I look at it this way. I'm like with you, Billy. I'm like, I think Tomlin would look at Eberflus and say, look, dude, the last guy who got fired in Chicago went and became the quarterback's coach for a team, not even a coordinator. Nagy went back to KC, tail between the legs, was a quarterback's coach. Now he's the OC, and he might get fired as the OC in KC at the end of the year. So he can say, look, sometimes being a head coach and you know, you're not going to get another head coaching job right away, especially with your numbers. Stay with me and be the DC. If they're going to pay you head coach money, and you took a defense from worst to first, they just need a head coach maybe with more experience. That's where I come in. You're also going to be my assistant head coach. Then let me go get us a good offensive coordinator and wrap this bad boy up. I don't know, Mike the Bear fan, what do you think?
Well, if I'm looking at a head coach perspective, I mean, you got Mike Tomlin. He's been in the league 18 years. 1 year he was a DC in Minnesota where he started his career. Then he went to Pittsburgh for 17 years, made the playoffs 10 times. That's over half.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's a 63% win percentage coach. Won the Super Bowl. His worst record of the 1 year was 8-8 back in 2013 and 2018.
And that would be our best year.
9 of those seasons he had 10 plus wins. 7 of those seasons he had 11 plus wins. 5 is 12 plus wins. He's definitely by far the better coach.
But Mike, he did all that with Big Ben.
It has a lot to do with coaching too, though. But Big Ben did help. But it has a lot to do with coaching. You know, and then you got Eberflus, the worst percentage coach in Bears history and the NFL history at a .258. I would love, and I wouldn't be surprised if he would take the job as a DC, because look what he's done with the defense, a top 5 defense. He's done very well with the defense. He just can't finish games. He chokes in the fourth quarter. I don't know why, but he does.
And another thing is Pittsburgh had great defenses too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all Pittsburgh's offense with Ben, Santonio Holmes, and
true, but we got a top 5 defense right now. And how many wins we got?
I think he does. He crumples up the hits principle and throws it in the trash.
Yeah. And Eberflus's best season is this year with 5 wins.
I just agree with Bear Down Mike. That hits principle on defense, it's obviously working. If you went from one of the worst defenses in the league to one of the best in that kind of turnaround. some of it's personnel, but the way he builds defenses, look at his defenses in Indianapolis were phenomenal. That's what got him the head coaching job. And now he's done the same thing in Chicago. He's returned the D in Chicago. He really did. So, I mean, I think the biggest debate would be twofold. One, if Tomlinson was available, and look, he's still under contract, so that's him resigning, which means we're giving up draft capital, right? Kind of like with Peyton in Denver. I think it'd be one of those situations. It wouldn't be clean. But then, obviously, Tomlinson then, okay, he brings in a staff. Is Eberflus a part of that staff would probably be a discussion. I don't think the Bears, the cool thing about coaches is there's no salary cap on contracts for coaches. So if they want to pay Eberflus the same money to stay as a DC, they could.
Well, are we all out? I got a question. Are we all out with Eberflus being head coach? And if Ron Rivera gets fired as our DC, anybody think about that, or is that a definite no?
I thought about Rivera personally, like maybe even as a head coach, because he's been a good head coach overall. Players like him. I think it's the same thing, though. It's like Rivera is kind of one of those guys. He's been a head coach now at 2 locations for extended periods of time with extended amounts of success. Even in Washington, he's had great success with with no-name quarterbacks, with a lot of no-name players who he made names. I think Rivera's a guy who goes and becomes a head coach elsewhere. He's not like a Nagy or an Eberflus who will get fired and go straight back to a coordinator position because he had such a long run in Carolina. That's like Tomlinson will never have to be a coordinator. He'll be a head coach. I think he's one of those guys. Rivera is appealing to us because he's an 85 Bear. I mean, because while we're talking about, look, there's another guy.
Well, you got to explain.
Probably going to be available to be.
No, Woody, don't go there.
I was going to say.
Woody, don't go there.
He's going to be out there. No, he'll want some GM, and I don't think I think Poles his player acquisition is phenomenal. There we go. But there's another head coach who's going to be available, Belichick.
Oh God, no!
I don't think so.
He's going to retire, get his hoodie retired, and he's done.
I think
I wouldn't mind Brian Flores.
I don't. You think he'll really leave after 1 year?
Maybe for a head coaching position.
Well, here's a question: if Ron Rivera gets fired, the real question is not, are you going to go after Ron Rivera? Are you going to go after Bieniemy?
Bieniemy might finally take over that head coaching job if Rivera gets fired.
Or you could look at him to come to Chicago if you're going to fire Eberflus. And I'm not even getting into the whole Harbaugh situation.
Oh, baby, yes.
National championship this year. Does he
want Billy? Bring it. Bring the Harbaugh.
Here's a question. Besides the 85 Bears, what is the relationship between Ron Rivera and the McCaskies?
I don't know. I don't know if she remember. She has a little bit of Alzheimer's. I don't know if she'll remember him.
No, it's just Mike. It's just
remember because Kevin Warren's going to be involved in this. He's going to bring his own guys in.
Yeah, but like Bear fans always go, "Oh, well, we can get Leslie Frazier. Oh, we should get Singletary." Well, yeah, they were 85 Bears, so the hearts are a little strung towards those guys. Like of all the guys who became coaches, that 85 team, Rivera by far has been the best coach, record-wise, right? But a lot of Bears fans, I think, and Woody or Mike, whoever, correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of Bears fans go to that because it's that heartstring from the 85 guys. The older fans especially. Oh, he was a Bear, and there's a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, those of us who are alive, like Billy, myself, Woody, there's an emotional strand that goes to the 85 guys, isn't there? And so, I mean, Billy, how many years have you heard, let's bring in Singletary or Leslie and it's all just, well, why? Well, they were a Bear already. They're a Bear. Why? Because they were on the 85 Super Bowl team. And that's the argument.
Yeah, that's basically it. Be like, oh, it's because they were 85, so you're gonna go with it.
And then we get the fans like Bear Down Mike, who, was isn't old enough to remember. Wait, was he even alive for the '85 team? Well, then
No,
he's
I was
like,
born
what
in
is this?
'86.
He's like, what the heck's this crap about the '85 hard? Because these guys, because they're '85 Bears, all your 40-plus-year-old fans are like, oh yeah, if you can bring Butthead too, and how about Gary Fensick? He was smart. That's the problem is we're emotionally attached to the '85 guy. And look at Gary Fensick, dude's Ivy League educated, smart motherfucker. I don't think he should be a head coach in Chicago or any kind of coach in Chicago. He was a great player too for his position at the time.
And he was the best one to. And he was the best one to do the Super Bowl shuffle.
And he was. I mean, Rivera would be. Mike Rivera to me is a good option, not because he's 85, but because he's a good coach. The problem that I wonder is though, what does it take for Poles to fire Getsy and Eberflus versus fire Getsy and keep Eberflus, given what the transformation the defense has made? Because that's really the question, right? So, Billy, I'll start with you. Do you think, minus, let's say, Tomlin becoming open or Harbaugh calling saying, I want to come to Chicago, Eberflus gets fired? I think Getsy's gone. But do you think Poles will fire Eberflus given the defensive turnaround?
I don't know, man. I don't think so. I mean, he'll probably ask him to stick around. I mean, I don't see him because he knows he'll see. Like you say, we all see the big difference in the defense, and we know it's Eberflus. So I can't see Poles saying, "Hey, see ya. I'm going to bring in a whole new staff." And there's got to be that conversation of like, "Hey, man, would you stay?"
Yeah, Woody. I'm kind of like with Billy there. I don't see Eberflus getting fired unless maybe Tomlinson or Harbaugh come knocking saying, I want to come to Chicago.
Well, people say they keep bringing up Poles. Remember what Warren said? He's going to bring his own people in if it doesn't work out. But with the defense playing how they are, I mean, do they hire a DC and Eberflus says, hey, I'll be calling defensive plays. You know what I mean? Offensive, like McCarthy's calling offensive plays for Dallas, and look at them. So I don't know. It's a hard decision to make. I mean, I don't know.
Before I go to the youngin, Bear Down Mike, I'll say this though too. It's always. I mean, we've always seen head coaches make calls. Andy Reid makes calls, and they still have an OC and a DC. I think he's got a special assistant, but he does need that. He'll hire a DC. But Bear Down Mike, after you've seen what the defense, worst to first, I mean, his only problem seems to be the offense. So, like I said, minus Tomlinson being there knocking down the door or Harbaugh, do you see Flus getting fired at the end of the year?
Well, you got to weigh in. How was our first 4 games? Terrible. All right. We couldn't close the wins, all those 3 games. You finally won 2 division games. There's more bad than there is good. We didn't get good to after week 6, 7? Something like that.
True, but I mean, if you listen to Poles, though, Poles talks about this being the process, kind of like Theo Epstein did with the Cubs, right? So, I mean, for Poles, I mean, he probably knew we weren't going to be that good to start the year, but haven't we seen the progression from the beginning of the year being bad to now being a defense you don't want to face?
I guess it would depend how you end the season, right? What if this is we go 5 and 12? That's
you
it.
Almost doubled your win total. You went from the worst rushing defense in the league to the best. You went from the worst defense in the league for turnovers to one of the best. You went from one of the worst defenses in the league to a top 3. Offensively, Fields improved, statistically speaking. Turnovers are down. Touchdowns are up. I think your problem is Luke Getsy in this game plan, don't you?
No, we need an offensive-minded head coach because we need that as a head coach.
Didn't we have that with Matt Nagy, and what happened to the defense?
Yeah, and look at Patrick Mahomes now. He's killing that guy.
I
I
mean,
mean, we still have Harbaugh, Ben Johnson.
I don't think that. I think that I'm going to argue with you for a minute here because I think that the idea of you have to have an offensive head coach is bullshit at this point. You need a good OC because look at even if it doesn't matter if he's a defensive minded coach, if you have a good OC that calls plays, that works beautifully, right?
Right.
And vice versa. If you have a great offensive minded coach who calls offensive plays, but you have a really good coordinator, then it works perfectly. So right now you've got the defensive side on lockdown, on hook, right? Your defense is solid. You just need a good offensive coordinator who can scheme and call plays. So if you get that, don't you fix the team?
So I'm going to use this as an example. What happened when Josh Allen had Brian Daboll? He was elite, right? I mean, Josh Allen's elite, rather. But his turnover rate was great. Soon as Daboll left, Josh Allen referred back to throwing interceptions. Look at Philly. They lost, what's that guy? The Indianapolis head coach. Shane Steichen, I think that's his name. Look at their offense now. They just got shit kicked out of them by 49ers. So
you agree with me then?
I mean, but you look at the OC. The enemy left Kansas City to go to Washington. Sam Howell for there was throwing for a lot of yards on a shitty team. And look at Matt Nagy. You can't call shit.
You're agreeing with what I'm saying then.
I agree with you.
Get OC with your defensive-minded head coach, and you fix the team.
But if we get a good OC, look what's going to happen. He's going to move on to another team as a head coach.
Well, that's
now we're
always
stuck finding another one.
That's always going to happen.
I'd rather have the head coach.
Right? I mean, fellas, anytime we get a good coordinator, offensive or defensive, what happens? Teams look at them for head coaching positions, right? That's the natural ebb and flow of the NFL.
I mean, I'm up for offensive-minded head coach. I don't want a DC as a head coach unless it's Tomlinson. That's the only way.
And Tomlinson actually proves a point though too. Tomlinson is a head coach, defensive-minded, and look how good his offenses are. Why? He's had good OCs.
No, he calls out his players like he should, because we all know Eberflus won't do that. He won't even take accountability most of the time.
No,
he doesn't. Right? He says
There's not one time Eberflus said, "Okay, my bad."
Yeah,
nothing.
He said the last interview today that throw to Amari Cooper should have been intercepted or deflected. That's not. No, that you called the wrong play, dude.
Well,
you
isn't that calling out the defensive player who didn't make the play, Billy? Right? Eberflus says that pass should have been deflected or intercepted at minimum. Isn't that him calling out his defensive players?
Yeah.
Play calling.
Well, but why doesn't he call out the offensive players too?
Yeah. Why isn't he calling out Getsy?
Oh, I think I agree with you there, and I think Getsy. I think the writing's on the wall. After the Cleveland game, does anyone here think Getsy does not get fired at the end of the year?
They already said it.
Woody, didn't you say something about Adam Schefter?
Well, sources have said that the inclination, blah blah blah, is that he's gone. But come on, I mean, we know how sports mockery and these crap sites are that post anything just get clicks are. So let's actually think about this rationally without the clickbaiters. Is there anyone here who think Getsy does not get fired at the end of the season? Or can even make an argument for him to not get fired?
He will.
No, he will.
So we know for a fact we need an OC.
Yep.
The next question is going to be with head coach. And I tend to agree with Billy and Woody to agree. I think unless Tomlinson's there, right, I think we're keeping Eberflus and just the concentration with Warren, I think will be a part of the process to find the OC. Because I don't think Poles is in. Does anyone here think Poles is in danger of losing his job as GM?
No.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. When Warren says he'll bring in his guys, he's going to have to include Poles. Otherwise, that's telling everyone Poles is getting fired. And none of us, and Poles' player acquisition has been probably the best in the league over 2 years. So,
well, that and home.
I think Warren's going to look at Poles like, you're either with me or get your ass out of here.
No, I think Warren looks at Poles as someone who can judge players really phenomenally, and where Warren's more it's like, let me help you on analyzing and judging coaches versus because for player personnel, I think Poles is one of the best in the league. Yeah.
Well, that and Brad,
I mean,
like I said, Brad Holmes of Detroit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, really, like his one miss was Chase Claypool, and really, when you look at Claypool on paper, it looked like everything was good. You can't someone's mental state. You can't really, he probably even sounded good in an interview, and then when he
you took a
gets
shot on him.
It's not lost on me though that Chase Claypool was a problem child because he called out Luke Getsy's shitty offenses and he was gone, right? That's not lost on me. He was right. So maybe Poles is one area he needs work on as coaching, right? So could Warren maybe with Poles and Eberflus have by a committee of 3 search for their new OC this offseason? And could that OC be Billy Flores, the Fence guy?
I'm there.
No. I need to keep seeing you on TV, pal. No. No, can't do it. Sorry.
I'll be on TV.
You'd be on even more. Hey, don't forget, we all want our tickets, in your box, Send us tickets to your suite,
I don't want in your box, but that's fine.
The box.
You can sit in my box.
Yeah.
It'll be nice and warm.
Yeah, that's Woody for you. What can I tell you? But all right, so gents, who do we got? We got 3 more games to play. We're what? The first and the 5th pick right now. Unfortunately, Carolina went and won a game. I can't believe they beat Atlanta. Was it 10-9?
And they benched Ritter. Now they're starting Heineke.
So yeah, Ritter's getting benched. So we'll get to face Heineke again. We've got who do we got left? We've got Arizona this week.
Arizona, Falcons, and then Packers last.
So
Arizona, Atlanta, Packers.
So we should win 2, if not 3 of these games. Yeah.
You got to beat the Packers. I don't care. You got to beat
them.
I would love to ruin their chances at a playoffs.
Yep, in their home.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to do this yet. We'll save this for pregame on Sunday. But here are the standings right now. We don't want Woody's head to explode.
No, I won last year. That's fine.
So I mean, we won't get into predictions, but if we win 2 or 3 of these games, that's the other reason why Eberflus might stay, because now he's a 7 or 8 game winner from a 3-game to a 7 or 8 game. Now it's just a matter of finding an offensive play caller. Tomlin, though, I think anytime any high-profile coach comes free is going to be tagged to Chicago. Just like every one of these clickbait websites like SportsMock where you want to say we're drafting Caleb Williams. And CBS Sports and ESPN and Fox Sports, they all think Justin Fields is gone. So let's talk about that for a minute. Justin Fields, Woody, next year, still a Bear, or do we move on?
Oh, he'll be a Bear. Yep.
Mike?
Yeah, he'll be a Bear.
Billy?
Yep. He'll be a Bear.
So here's the question. I agree. We'll be a Bear. Okay, so now we'll go to the next question. Woody, are we drafting a quarterback in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round?
Nope. Late rounds.
Mike, we drafting a quarterback?
4th round.
Billy?
Bo Dix. Go down
later
to the
round.
4th.
Yeah, if anything, maybe later round. So does that mean that our wonder kid backup is no longer the backup next year?
No, Bajan's still be the backup.
Yeah, he'll be the backup.
You sit that rookie. You put him on the practice squad.
So I mean, look at least we don't have to sit here and make the argument why Fields stays. We all agree that he's going to stay. So let's ask this question: minus the fact that it's clickbait, so they can get their clicks and make their money. Why in the world would anyone try to get rid of Justin Fields in Chicago right now?
To reset the rookie contract. That's it. That's what they say. Reset the contract.
That's Billy, if you draft the quarterback in the 1st, 2nd round, you get rid of Fields, doesn't that set the franchise back 2 or 3 years?
Yep.
Oh, definitely, man. We can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, there's not many CJ Strouds out there that are coming out of the out of the league that are going to work out like he did. I mean, even though
Yeah,
he's
that's more of an anomaly, right? Like CJ worked out. Who's the last guy who worked out like that? Maybe Andrew Luck?
out of Ohio
Yeah.
State or overall.
Overall.
Overall, it'd be Andrew Luck, generational.
Yeah, I mean, and Stroud wasn't projected to be that kind of this stud of a guy he became this year, right? That's why he didn't go number one, right? He was the second quarterback taken. So, it's funny. I mean, he's had a great year with the Texans. I mean, he's had a great year with the Texans.
With nobody. They only they have another rookie, Tank Dell, a wide receiver, and what they have Schultz.
And
making
Dell,
Nico Collins look like a Pro Bowler.
Collins too.
Yeah, and Dell before he got injured was like, there was like, okay, who's gonna be rookie of the year? Is it gonna be the quarterback or the receiver? They drafted a phenomenal 1-2 punch.
I think Addison might be having a little bit better year than Tank Dell, but definitely CJ Stroud's going to get rookie of the year.
You know who's making a case though is that Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Jeez. Yeah, Jigba's had some big catches as well.
I think Puka Nakua's in that too.
But I mean, not often you're going to draft a quarterback and look at the Texans aren't a team like this Bears team are now, where you can tell we're kind of poised to make a playoff run with this team because of the way the defense is. The Texans didn't have a great defense coming into this year after last season. They were kind of like the Bears. They were a hot mess all across the board. They didn't turn their defense around. Their offense turned around a bit this year, right, with Stroud. I mean, yeah, do any of these quarterbacks in a draft offer us a chance to fix this offense completely next year? I don't think so.
Oh, next.
Oh.
Not nearly as good as Justin Fields. I think what's telling is, here's what's telling though. When guys like DJ Moore come out and they say, why the hell would we draft a quarterback? The media all got to be looking at him like, well, what do you mean? And the fact that he has to break it down to them just tells you they're after the clickbait.
Yeah.
So the next question though, Marvin Harrison Jr., does the kid come out? And I mean, if he comes out, I think we draft him.
Oh yeah.
Is he going to be in the draft this year though? Billy, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely want to get him, man. That's the first pick we got to go for.
But do you think he'll come out, or there's talk that he may stay to win a national championship for Ohio?
I don't know. I think he'll come out.
From what I heard, he got another year, like $21 million NIL deal to stay another year.
I mean, if he doesn't come out, I would trade that Carolina pick right away.
I mean,
thank you, Raiders, for Max Crosby.
I mean, yeah, because here's the thing, like $24 million on NIL. What, he can't get that money in the NFL? Sure, he can. Those endorsement deals are going to follow him, right? I mean, why would you give up on being a possible? Well, you're going to be a top 3 pick in the draft. How do you pass that up?
Well, he wants to get his degree.
Do the Justin way. Justin went back during the offseason and got his degree.
We won't know.
So, okay, if he's available, I think we'd all agree, even at number 1, we would take him at number 1, yeah?
Yep.
It depends who's 2 and 3. Because we know New England's going to be at 2. They're going to draft a quarterback. Who's after New England? Is it Arizona?
Arizona, yep.
Arizona's going to want him, so we need somebody to move up to that position.
Well, you never know.
Drop back to 2 or 3.
You never know. Is Kyler Murray the answer? Because they're already talking about trading him if they kept Dobbs the way Dobbs was playing in Arizona. So we never know. Arizona might draft a quarterback too, first round.
That means you got to ship. If they ship Kyler Murray before when can they do the trades?
Yeah, that's where
before the draft.
Right now, as we stand right now, we're at 1 and 5. I don't think you can move past 3 and still get Marvin Harrison Jr.
No.
So either you trade up with New England from them to move the 2 to 1, or Hoover's at 3.
But if you're New England, why are you going to trade with the Bears and give up capital to go from 2 to 1 when you know they don't need a quarterback?
You play that mind trick that you are going to take a quarterback.
Yeah, it's all mind game draft is.
Billy, if you're a GM out there, is there any doubt in your mind that Ryan Poles is not going to draft a quarterback number 1?
I don't think they. I don't know. That's hard. It's hard to decide, man. I mean, it's just like you if you're watching the same thing, if you're watching TV, everybody's like, oh, they're fed up with Fields. But I don't know. That's a tough one.
You lose all leverage if you go out and tell them right now that the pick's for sale.
I agree, but I don't think any GM in their right mind thinks that we're going to walk away from Justin Fields.
No.
I mean, the media says it's clickbait and it gets discussion, right? If I go and post on Mike the Bear fan right now that the number one pick is going to be Caleb Williams, and that's the way it's going to be because Poles hates Fields, I'm going to get 1,000 clicks and a bunch of people tell me what an idiot I am. And a couple people are going to argue for it because they just want to argue, and I'm going to generate a lot of revenue for my page. Am I wrong?
No.
But if I post Justin Fields will be the quarterback next year, am I going to get a ton of clicks?
Nope.
And another way I think of it is you'll get more for that. Let's say Marvin Harrison doesn't come out. We'll just say that. But we're gonna trade that pick. You'll get more for that pick than you will for Justin.
Yeah.
Then you get that rookie quarterback. We all know rookie quarterbacks, their first year, they suck. So that means we spend another year. That's another year on this team getting older.
At least.
Would have waited.
Now we're
wait
wasting
the
time.
defense.
Now we gotta wait for this quarterback, and hopefully he pans out.
If Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't come out, do we trade with the Raiders, who are also going to be top 10, and try to pry Max Crosby away from them in that deal?
How old is Max Crosby?
He's young. He's only like 25.
Yeah, he's young. He just signed his first.
I know he looks like he's in his 40s.
He just signed his first. He's off his rookie contract, right? He signed a big contract. He's off his rookie contract. So he's probably 26, 27.
Who's going to be a free agent on the Raiders next year?
I have to look it up.
Is Hunter Renfrow going to be a free agent? I like his hands. Like, he can catch
I
that
don't
ball.
need. Yeah, but we don't need. Well, Renfrow.
Yeah, he'll be.
Hunter Renfrow, he'd be a good 3.
Yeah,
that's assuming Darnell Mooney's gone.
Max Crosby will be 27 next August.
Right,
what's his contract? Does it say, Woody?
$94 million.
He's probably got 4 years left on that deal.
Let me see. He's $94 million, 4-year. He signed that on March 11th, 2022. So he'll have 3 years
I'll be right
left.
back.
So he's got 3 years left on that deal. I mean, look at Sweat. Him and Sweat. Yeah, look out. Crosby and Sweat the same. Well, yeah. And I think you keep Justin, and then you draft O-line, and then you got to sign a receiver.
Definitely got to get a receiver.
And there's some good. Look, there's some other good receivers in this draft, and we'll get into the draft after the season. But there's more out there than Marvin Harrison Jr. that can improve this team. But Marvin Harrison Jr. with DJ Moore just sounds like a dream, doesn't it?
Yep.
So we got that going. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Before we're on about 50 minutes here, we're getting close to the end here. Just want to throw this up, and that's thank everyone for helping us get the 10K. Mike's already got a couple things. He's given away some current rostered Bears cards. He's already procured autograph cards, I believe. So we'll be doing another giveaway for that. Like I said, get on the page, make some comments. Top fans are the ones we put in there, and we'll give away some more Chicago Bears merch. Also, don't forget every Wednesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 for you weird people like Woody on the East Coast.
Lick it.
We do Halas Hall, and then every Sunday, 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern for those East Coasters. We do the pregame show. The reason you'll see all of us on the pregame is because one of us on this panel tonight just happens to be tailgating with a very noticeable Chicago Bears fan down there. So if you're ever doing a Bears game, look for the fence guy. He's hard to miss. Where's your tailgate area at there?
I'm on Harrison and Wabash.
So if you're going to go to one, we got what? How many home games? 1?
2.
2 more.
2. So
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Yep. So if you're going to go to a game, definitely give them a shout, give them a look, stop by the van. It's a pretty cool van. And no, it's not a van down by the river, but it is a van down by the lake.
That's right.
So we got that going on every Sunday. On Mondays, we've got every Monday morning, which is hard for us retirees to wake up for, at 10 a.m. Central,
Jesus
11
Christ.
a.m. on the East Coast with Russell Wayne. We got the NFC North main event, football talk. They do a lot of Lions stuff, but we get some Bears and Vikings and other stuff in there as well. So make sure to do that. We're going to be back again this Sunday to do pregame. A certain individual will be tailgating, maybe chiming in to let us see all the beer he's drinking and the brats he's cooking.
Well, I don't know. It's a 4:30 game.
So we're still there by 6 in the morning.
Yeah, Billy will be there Billy, what time are you going to get there Sunday? 2, 3 in the morning?
6 in the morning, we're there.
Happy Christmas Eve.
Yeah, no
That's
doubt.
right. Hey, you can't drink all day with it if you don't start in the morning.
There you go.
And we should have some good weather. So, but for the rest of you, please join us again on Sunday. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, Mike the Bear fan had to bow out, but I love this. If we don't see you before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. Remember, we're skipping the Green Bay this year. Bear down. Santa has said so. And let's hope for a Bears win. We'll see you all Sunday. I'll throw around everyone for a final word, and we'll go. Billy, you got anything to say?
Bear down and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Mike?
Bear down.
Woody?
Do we lose this game on purpose for draft status? Something to think about. And go Eagles. Fucking morons.
Bear down, everyone. We'll see you all on Sunday.
Bear down.
Bear down.